Welcome to the lecture on basics of Perl. Today we are going to look into scalar variables and the different types of values that can be assigned to a scalar variable. So let's get started. What we'll do is we'll go through an example, or probably we'll code an example where we are converting the Fahrenheit into degree Celsius, and we'll see what different values can be assigned to a particular scalar variable, and then we'll look into how strings are stored in variables in Perl. So let's get started. Now we'll first start by using the strict module, as we'll ask the user to enter the temperature in Fahrenheit. So we'll simply say enter temp in Fahrenheit or in degree Fahrenheit. The value would be stored in a particular scalar variable. So the scalar variable is defined by using a dollar sign and followed by the variable name. So I would say temp underscore Fahrenheit, and as the value is getting entered through the standard input, so that would be stdin. Okay, so if you see here, we have got the value in scalar variable. The interesting thing is this value would be like anything. It can be an integer, it can be a floating point number. So we have not defined our scalar variable saying it's an integer, it's a string, it's a float. It will take the value that you will enter. So let's move ahead now. Now we'll just write the formula to convert the temperature to Celsius. So the formula is something like temp underscore Fahrenheit minus 32 and star slash 9. So this is the standard formula to convert your temperature into Celsius. Once this is done, we print this value, that is the temperature in Celsius, temp in Celsius, and that would be $temp cell. So now if you see, again we have not defined our scalar variable to have an integer value or a floating point value. It is free to hold whatever value gets assigned by this particular calculation. So this is something in Perl where you really don't have to worry about what kind of value you are going to store in the particular variable, the particular scalar variable, which in different languages, there you need to predefine the variable that you are going to use in the course of your program, saying whether it is a type of integer, it is a type of floating value, or is it type of a character or a string variable. So this is something like free to use kind of scalar variables in Perl. So now here you will print the temperature in Celsius. So what we'll do is first we'll quickly execute this particular program, and thereafter we'll look more into the strings part of Perl. So I'll quickly get to my command prompt and I'll quickly execute this particular program, which is temperature.pl. If you see, we have got these errors. So basically we have not used my, as we have as we have defined the strict module, we need to have all the variables predefined using my. So now I suppose this would ask us to enter the temperature, and let's say I'm entering 96 and the temperature in Celsius is 35.5. Now this is pretty interesting thing. So this 96 that I have entered is basically a string, and this is not an integer. I know this would be a little surprising. So as we have not even handled anything in this case, to actually create it to an integer. So I'll quickly give you an example. Let's say now if I rerun this particular program, and now I'm entering 96A, and then let's say I'm entering 98 after that A. So what do you think this particular string, or the mixture of numbers and string, would actually result into? So let's say we'll execute it and we'll see. We've got the answer similar to the above case. So basically in Perl, whenever you enter an input from the command line, it will always be in the form of string. Now in Perl, the Perl internally converts strings into numbers in case it finds numbers inside that particular string. So from left to right, till the time it gets to that particular location where it again finds a string variable, a character, it will convert that particular part into a number. So in case you are using that particular variable where you have stored this particular value, which you have entered through the command prompt or through the input stream, the value from left to right is always stored as an integer. So the moment you enter a string, and that particular string has some numbers at the beginning of it, and you are using this particular scalar variable in some kind of an arithmetic calculation, that particular value will be taken up for the arithmetic calculations. We can quickly have another example, or probably we'll rerun it, and let's say now I'll enter 0, and you will see the answer is minus 17.7. Now let's say again I'll re-execute it, and what I'll do is at this point in time I'll just put a string ABC. Now if you see, there are no numbers here. So actually it will, and I'm using this particular variable for an arithmetic calculation. So the case is it will again print minus 17.7. Why is that so? What it has done is it has taken ABC, because it couldn't convert it into string as into integer as we were using it for an arithmetic operation. It has taken that up as 0, and it has done its calculation as we have already used that particular value in our arithmetic operation. So I hope this is pretty clear how how integers, or even for that matter floating point values, are converted into strings, or strings are converted into integers depending on the variable, the scalar variable that is being used in different types of operation. So let's get started with strings. In Perl, basically even this particular line is a form of string. But let's say now I want to just store particular string into a variable. So I would say $str1. This is again a scalar variable, and I'm defining a string. So hi, this is my string, and I would do a slash n. So what happens is $str1 now has this particular string in it. Okay, but the beauty of this particular string is that it's been written in double quotes. Now in Perl, you can have strings defined in two ways. Now let's say I have $str2, and the other thing is that I have written this particular string in single quotes. Now there is a stark difference between these two lines. Not exactly in printing these two lines as of now, but now what I'm going to do with these two lines, you will find that there are a lot of differences how you would actually define your strings and string variables. So let's say now I want to print this $temp cell, let's say, in both of these lines. So I would just say $temp cell here and $temp cell here. And let's see what the output would be once we execute this particular program. Okay, oops, I need to have as I've created two new different variables, and we'll go ahead. So again I would simply keep 96, as we know the output, that is 35.5. So it says temp. Okay, sorry, I've not yet printed them. So let's print string 1 and dollar $str1 slash n and print string to dollar $str2 and a slash n. So let's see what the output would be. I would say 96. Now if you can see, hi, this is my string and I have got 35.5. There was a slash n here in this particular string itself, so it has gone to the next line. While printing, I had again used a slash n, so there is a blank line and then there is this particular line. But in this case, if this has printed hi, this is my string 2, hi, this is my string, and it has failed to substitute the value for $temp underscore Celsius. Why is that so? When we when we define single quote string in Perl, there is no escape character that actually works in this particular case. So when I say escape characters don't work in single quotes, what do I mean by that? So in this case, when there was double quotes that were used in the string, if you see slash n was actually terminated for a second line. Slash n gave me a second line. $temp cell gave me a value which was actually been there in that scalar variable. But in this case, and also because of the coloring scheme that Notepad++ uses, you can see $temp cell is just like a normal string. There is nothing called as a variable which is being substituted here in str2 when I'm using single quotes in Perl. So clearly remember this, whenever you want to do any kind of variable substitution, never use single quotes, because that will actually give you output that you would actually not, or probably that the output is not inclined towards what you would have actually liked. So always use double quotes whenever you want to have variable substitutions in any kind of strings. That is one part. In single quotes, the only thing that you can actually escape is a single quote character and a backslash. So let's say, hi, this is my string, and probably here I would actually do something like this is single quote, and I would just have a single quote here and I would backslash it, and again I would write a new line, hi, this is multi line and multi backslash and backslash, let's say, and backslash. So to escape backslash, I've just used double backslash, and now if you print it, you will see the output something like this. So now let's go through the output. Probably I'll just minimize this particular window and I'll show you what exactly has happened here. So let's get going by actually understanding what has happened in the single quoted string. In the single quoted string, what it has done is it has escaped the quote character and it has escaped the backslash character. As I said, in single quotes, if there is a string, it will just escape the quote and the backslash character. Nothing else gets escaped. So in case I had a slash n would have got printed as it is. Just in the case of double quoted strings, or yeah, the double quoted string, the slash n means the new line. So this is not the case with single quoted string. Now there is one more thing that you can see. I have written the string, or probably I have spanned the string into 3 different lines. So what is the difference? Basically, in string 1 and in string 2, in case I want to write another string, let's say followed by after this particular slash n, if I want to write something like this is second line, and let's say a slash n here. So if I just execute the program, and you can see, hi, this is my string and this is the second line. Why is that so? In double quotes, I have to use slash n in order to get the string span to a second line. But in this case, in case of single quotes, you just have to like continuously, you can just hit enter, and the way you write in your program would actually be displayed on the screen, or that's how it would be consumed. So these are the basic two differences between single quotes and double quotes. We'll quickly go through the program, what we have done so far, and we'll have a quick revision. So scalar variables, you have to define them using dollar as your symbol followed by the variable name. The scalar variable can hold any values, let's say integers, floating point numbers, or strings, depending on what you want the scalar variable to hold. You don't need to predefine the scalar variable. What you would actually like to do is whatever value you need to assign, you can quickly assign to a scalar variable by defining a scalar variable, that is using a my as your keyword. Now, coming to the strings part, in strings, remember, you can have strings in two different ways. One is single quotes, the other one is double quotes. There are only two basic difference in between single quotes and double quotes. There are no escape sequences or escape characters that can be used in case of single quotes apart from quote and backslash. But in double quote strings, you can escape practically anything that you want to using a backslash. And you can also have variable substitution, which is not the case in case of single quotes. In double quotes, to span it to multiple lines, you need to separate it by slash n. But in single quotes, you can simply span it by writing it in the way you want it to get displayed onto a particular screen. Remember one more thing, any input that you provide in Perl will always be in the form of string. It will never be in the form of integers. So basically, whenever you input anything from the screen or from the input stream, it will always be in the form of an string. That particular string will get converted into the numbers or probably into the integer or floating point, depending on what kind of number you have entered. But that is only till the last number it gets, in case you have entered number as well as some letters in it. So basically, as we had seen in our example, if we entered 96 ABC, it will take the 96 part and it will do arithmetic calculations in case you are using that particular variable somewhere in your program to have some kind of an arithmetic operation. I hope the lecture on strings, the scalar variables, and different types of values that a scalar variable holds is pretty clear. Thank you, and I'll see you at the next lecture.